Hello everybody, today's topic is Intro to Functions. Essential questions. What is a function and what are the different ways to show a function? How can we tell if a relationship is a function? Let's get to it. First off, we're going to talk about these input-output rules. This is basically a rule that takes a number in and gives another number out. A function is a rule that takes a number in and gives only one number out. And we'll get into some examples later to help that make a little bit more sense. Let's take a look at some of these rules. First, here we have our input arrow. We're going to put a number in here. This is the rule, add 3, and then it's going to output a separate number. For example, if we put in 0, we add 3 to that, and we will get 3. If we look at our next input, 1, we put 1 in, we add 3, 1 plus 3 is 4, 5 plus 3 is 8, and 10 plus 3 is 13. So we get this input-output table with this rule of adding 3. Example 2. Here we've got a input-output rule that multiplies by 2 and then subtracts 1. If we put negative 1 in, negative 1 times 2 is negative 2, minus 1 is negative 3. If we take 2, 2 times 2 is 4, minus 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5, and 10 times 2 is 20, subtract 1, 19. We have our table that goes along with our input-output rule. There are a lot of different ways to look at input-output rules, and we're going to take a look at a few of those now. First off is a table. We have the inputs on the left. These are usually like our x values, and then our output on the right. Those are like our y values. So we have negative 4 goes with 12. Input 0, we get 3. Input 6, we get negative 2. 10, negative 8, same thing. On a graph, we have lots of different points. The input is the x coordinate and the output is the y coordinate. We can also look at input-output rules with equations like y equals 2/3 x plus 5. We say that our input is our x. We can plug in an x value here, the input, and the number we get for what y equals, that would be our output. On to the next page. We can check if an input-output rule represents a function by checking if one input has more than one output. Let's determine if each relationship is a function. Example 1. We've got 4 points here, 2, 5, 3, 6, 1, 4, and 10, 4. My input, my x's, 2, 3, 1, and 10, all each have a different output. So yes, this is a function. We say that because each input, the x coordinates, have only one output, the y coordinates. Example 2. Here we have coordinates again, negative 4, 5, 0, 0. Oh, let's check this out. 1, 2, and 1, 4. I notice that these two coordinates have the input of 1. Since that's repeated, no, this is not a function because the input of 1, the x coordinate of 1, has 2 different outputs. That's 2 and 4. We have 1, 2, and 1, 4. It's not a function because the input 1 has more than one output. Moving on to example 3. Here it looks like we've got some tables. We have x's on the left and y's on the right. Our first one, 3a, has 2, 2, 2, 4, and 2, 0. Looks like these 2's are repeating with different y values. So is that a function? No. Example 3a is not a function because the input of 2 on the left has 3 different outputs, 2, 4, and 0. Example 3b, we've got negative 2, negative 4, 0, negative 2, and 1, 1. Each input looks different So yes, this is a function because each input, all these x column coordinates, those points, have only one output, not more than one, so it is a function. For our last example, example 4, let's take a look at some graphs. These are a little interesting. In each graph, we have different points. And these points are x and y coordinates. The x's are still the input. So for example, if I take this input of 4, it only has one dot. That's one y value. This x coordinate at 5 has a dot, a point, and this x coordinate way over here has 1 point as well. So each of those x's are input to only one y coordinate. So yes, this is a function. If we made coordinates from these points, each x would only have one y. Now on our next example, I noticed something kind of interesting going on at this x coordinate of -2. It looks like we have 2 points that use that same x coordinate. So no, this is not a function because these 2 points, -2, -1, and -2, -5, they both have the input, the x coordinate of -2, but they have more than one output. That's -1 and -5. So whenever you have graphs, you can think of it as just different points, seeing if the x repeats. A lot of people like to draw these vertical lines to see if it crosses the graph more than one time. That's a shortcut. Well, that's all we're going to talk about with functions and input-output rules for now. Take a couple minutes, write down a 3 to 5 sentence summary answering those essential questions at the top of the page. Remember to give details, explain. Don't just say, this is what we learned. Tell me, what did you learn exactly? How did you learn it? What are the details? Answer those questions. I hope this video was helpful.